learn all 6 aspects of health. That's right. It's not just about your financial health and having a big bank account. It's also about your mental health, your social health, spiritual health, intellectual health. And today we're going to focus on your physical health and how to get fit. That's right. How to improve our physical health by getting fit. Simple tips to help you reach your goal. If you've never seen Millionaires Are Made, this is the show built on the fundamental beliefs that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. We at Millionaires Are Made are on a mission to teach the world for free how to grow in all aspects of health to become the healthiest version of yourself that you can be. And in the spirit of authenticity, to try to remove as much bias as possible, we don't talk about advice or tips backstage with our guests. So I have no idea what they're about to say. I'm going to learn just like you're going to learn from their own life journeys. Audience, this is a very interactive show. Please give us your comments, give us your questions. We will ask them and answer them live. Quick shout out to some of our followers. Facebook, Jacqueline Grant. Thank you so much for following us. Instagram, Anna Hanale, and TikTok, Alejandra Rhodes, and on YouTube, Spooky. Thank you guys for following. If you want to be shouted out on our show, all you got to do is give us a quick follow. Thank you so much. And if you want to be a guest on our show, we're dropping that link right now. We love guests. We want to hear what you have to share with the world. We'd love to have your advice on our show. Please sign up on the link below. We also love topic ideas. This is like our 140th episode. We have so many topics we've gone over. We've done a couple of them twice, and we'd love to hear more topics. So if there's something in your life that you're going through, struggling, maybe it's your financial health, maybe you're lost in your spiritual health, let us know. Teach us and tell us, and we will go out and find 3 awesome guests to give some tips for you to get through that part in your life. One last thing I love to do to give back even more is I do free growth consultations. So if you guys ever want to talk to me one-on-one, the link's being dropped. Come say hi. All I do is spend my entire life learning from experts, and I would love to see if I can help you out as well. And huge announcement. We finally have merchandise available. If you are looking for a Millionaires Are Made shirt, it is available. That link's being dropped right now. We've been asked about it for so long. It's been a year and a half, and we finally figured out how to put words on a shirt and make it available to you. So that link's for you. And this episode is brought to you by, first off, we have Samir Dasani, certified health and nutrition coach who does some crazy stuff, teaching people with chronic and autoimmune diseases how to reverse them. You thought you had that disease for the rest of your life, and he's been able to not do that. It's wild. He had years of declining health, went and got his degree, and studied healing power of traditional practices. He's now getting a PhD in anthropology. Super smart guy, has taught me so much about physical health. Next up, we have Jesse Lewis, who is a crazy, hilarious hypnotist, does shows all around the world, and also very smart financially. If you ever want to listen to his podcast, go check him out. He's a great guy to have in your circle. Next, we have Sarah Jones, one of the smartest financial, foundation layers out there. She's a financial coach, went through a tough time. Her marriage was failing, debt was settling in, and she eventually just buckled down, learned how money works, and is now teaching everyone while she travels the U.S. with her husband in an RV. Super fun. Check her out. Sarah's awesome. And our last amazing smart sponsor is Craig Sadkowski. He's a human behaviorist and mentor who teaches entrepreneurs how to discover their identity, purpose, and then achieve growth bigger than they ever have before. Woo! Thank you, sponsors, so much for allowing us to keep going on the show. And next up, we will be bringing our first guest. Her name is Grace. Grace, tell me who you are.
Howdy, I am Grace Anderson. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and my husband and I own 2 businesses. So I wouldn't say necessarily the fitness industry is what I do, but I know how to stay fit and incorporate it with a very busy lifestyle.
Ooh, I like that. That's what we need to know. Grace, tell me this. If I wanted to improve my physical health by getting a little more fit, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
I would say find something that works for you and stay consistent with it. What I really mean by that is, like, for somebody who has no time throughout the day, find something that works in the morning and the evening that works for your schedule. And being fit is pretty simple. You don't have to do some crazy diet where, no carbs, no gluten, only protein. Like, there's so many different diets out there. It's really what makes you feel the healthiest and the most energetic, as well as just physically what's making you more energized. And I could go into a little bit more depth of that if you would like.
Maybe in the round robin. But first, let's find
Yes.
out, where on your life journey did you learn that advice?
Yeah, so it's always been evolving, to be honest with you. Being fit, I was an athlete in high school, I was an athlete in college, and I even tried to take it to the professional level. But during that, I always had my boyfriend, my fiance, and now my husband was there to kind of guide me throughout that. And now at this point in our lives, being business owners, things evolve as you grow as a person and as you have different things on your plate. And now we have actually hired a professional coach that helps us with our fitness journey and our nutrition. So I've learned from so many different coaches, but ultimately my husband has been the person who has guided me through every aspect of my fitness journey.
Nice. What a great husband.
Yes,
I love
I think so.
it. Awesome, Grace. So we're going to move on to our next guest. Thank you so much. And we will bring up more in the round robin at the end of the show. Next up, we have Metabolic Mark.
How's it going? How's it going, Austin?
Mark, who are you?
So yeah, my name is Mark Overton, not Metabolic Mark, but that's my brand name. That's because I specialize in metabolic health. So I'm a men's health expert, and I've studied quite a speciality actually, which is nutritional anthropology and evolutionary biology. So when it comes to health and fitness, look into our most optimal path basically for clues on how to eat and move our bodies well.
Awesome. All right. All right. You sound like the right guy for this next question. If I wanted to improve my physical health and get a little more fit, what piece of advice would you give me?
Yeah, I love this question. There's four things to consider here, right? In very, very simple forms, right? You got to move your body, low intensity, but frequently, right? So that could just simply mean walking or shuffling your body or just moving around, right? But frequently, that's the next thing is to lift or move. Doesn't have to be every day, just a few times a week's enough, right? And I can break that down for you later on the round robin too. Occasionally, some kind of high intensity effort like a sprint, or if you're looking for something low impact, that could be done in a swimming pool or a rowing machine, but some kind of high exertion effort for about 10 seconds, a handful of times, once a week or every 10 days or so. And the last thing is to play, to get yourself into moving your body through some form of play where you're not attached to the outcome. If you can think about these four things, then you're going to be in a very good place.
What kind of play where you're not worried about the outcome? What do you mean by that? Like tag?
Yeah. I mean, look, there's so many ways you could take this. It could be some kind of game, if you like, or sport, as long as you're not, there's nothing wrong with competitive sport, but that's just a slightly different thing that we're talking about. But if you can get play where you, as an example, right, I've got two young children. If I take them over to the park and I throw a frisbee around with them for 20 minutes, right, that's the kind of thing that I mean by play. Or I could just be going for a ramble in the forest, right, with some pals, or whatever that looks like, but just doing some kind of, or it could be down at the bowling alley, for example, that could come into it because you're getting that kind of like body movement in the form of play.
Okay, fantastic. All right, where on your life journey did you learn this, Mark?
Now, and when I had this transformation, it was probably, or this enlightenment, let's say, to change my perspective on fitness was when I was like in my mid 30s. But the very short story is in my 20s up to early 30s, I was a chronic over-exerciser and a bit as well. So I was kind of burning the candle at both ends. I looked very unhealthy on the inside, and I was trapped in this really quite cruel, chore-like kind of exercise routine, right? And a lot of people get themselves in the same trap, especially when it comes to cardio and this kind of huff and puff, no pain, no gain approach to fitness, right? So I learned the hard way, man. I definitely earned my stripes. And believe me, when I went back to school and I studied and I had my kind of epiphanies of actually it doesn't need to be done this way, it was probably the most liberating thing that has ever happened to me. And that's why it's my calling now to help others find that.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mark. We're going to move on to our next guest. I believe Jeremy's in the house, and we'll bring you back out on the round robin, Mark. What's up, Jeremy? Tell me, who are you?
I am Jeremy Roadruck, founder of Lead Like a King Men's Consultant, and we talk all things physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, and relationshipal, the same 6 dimensions I believe I hear you talk about. That's why we've got so much simpatico.
I love it. Relationshipal. That's my favorite word today.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
All right, Jeremy. If I wanted to improve my physical health by getting fit, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Yeah, look at attainability means you could do it, and then sustainability means you could do it for a long time, right?
Ooh,
Because
okay.
we've already had 2 other experts being able to do a thing, but then it needs to be spaced and regular for it to actually impact, right? Fitness is not fitness pizza in my mouth. Fitness is about health and vitality. It's about effortlessness. It's about grace and flowing. And for a lot of people, just get off the couch and get moving is that first step. And so, according to science, the best thing you can do for your health is literally get up and walk 30 minutes a day at a brisk pace for 5 to 6 days a week. You reduce your risk of death from every single cause by 50%. It is the single biggest thing you can do for your health if you go from sedentary to just moving your body. That's where that like 10,000 steps a day came from and all that. But such a simple thing, get up and move. Now, I'm training for the Dopey Marathon, which is a 5K, a 10K, a half, and a full in 4 days because I'm insane. But I've been doing this in health and fitness for a very long time.
Wait, so you run a 5K one day, next day is a 10K, next day is a half,
Yep.
and then a full?
Yeah, it's a Disney Marathon Challenge. So it'll be January 8th to 11th of next year. It's 45 weeks. I have a training plan. I have a step. I have a thing. But yeah, we're going to run a 5K, a 10K, which I can already do. Then we're going to run a half, which is 13.1. And then we're going to run a full, which is 26.2. Yay.
And you don't get to start with the full and get it out of the way and then run the next ones?
Now we're building up, baby. Pop, 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 pop. Yeah,
Pop,
we get like
pop,
a ton
pop,
of medals for it, though. So
All right,
I'm
where
just
on
doing
your
it for the
life journey?
hardware.
Oh, yeah, that's why they do it. Where on your life journey did you learn this advice, these tips?
I have been active. I was pathetically weak when I was a young man, and I started martial arts at 20. The week before I went in, I did 1 push-up. And I was like, for the thing, I got to get in shape before I go. And I did the thing, and I went all the way down, and I went all the way back up. And then I was like, that wasn't bad. I'll do another one. And I bent my arms, and my arms collapsed. And I laid on the floor for 5 minutes, and I could not move my arms. I actually had to roll onto my back and then sit up because I was so out of shape and so pathetically weak. I had hit literal muscle failure, and it took 15 minutes for my arms to work again. Today, I can do more than 1 push-up. Yes. So
He made
it's
it
been
to
30
2.
years.
He made it to 2.
Yeah, that's right. Two, baby. So that was it. It was just the reality of self-defense and like, dude, not that I have to bench twice my body weight, but I need to be able to handle the physicality of my body. So that's been the journey.
Awesome, Jeremy. We're going to bring everyone else out here, and let's talk about getting fit. So I'm going to start off with a fun question that I feel like is probably the most common question. So we have shitloads of people in this world, and a lot of them, almost all of them, will say, I wish I was more fit. I wish I was more fit. And, some of you said just get off the couch, walk 30 minutes, and all that's easier said than done. What if I'm too busy? What if this, that, all the 1,000 excuses out there? What have you guys found is the best way to teach people to just start to lose that first pound? How do you lose
Well,
that first pound to convince them to actually go do something rather than just teach it? Go ahead, Grace.
no, it's okay. As somebody who, I've been functionally fit and also just looked like I was fit in 2 different ways. So a few years ago, I was to the point where I just wanted to look the best as possible. I didn't care how healthy I was on the inside or really how strong I was. I just wanted to look fit. As a female, sometimes we all have the urge to just be as skinny and fit as possible. One thing that I've realized is at that point, I needed to look so good for a photo shoot that I was only eating ice cubes for 3 days. And that's all I ate. And that was horrible. I could barely lift, a 10-pound dumbbell at that point in time. So there's a difference between looking like what you want to look like, but then also being the healthiest version of yourself. One thing that I know has helped me just like take that first step to now where I am, because of a year ago, I was 200 pounds after having a baby. Now where I'm at is just looking at, okay, who do I want to be for my son, for my husband, for myself? Who do I want to be, and what does that person look like? Does it look like that person is jacked, could lift a 100-pound dumbbell with no pressure, or is it somebody who could run a mile with their son whenever it's time for his mile fitness test for PE? Like, that's the type of person who I'm trying to visualize. I mean, if I am not that person sitting on that couch, or not that person sleeping in until 10 a.m., then what am I doing not being the person that God called me to be in any aspect? I was not the person God called me to be, and I was just trying to look good. Now I'm the person that God has called me to be, and I'm still working towards that person that I have visualized in my mind every single day when I wake up, because I know God called me to be the best version of myself, which means I can lift heavy weight. It's not just going to be a 30-minute walk a day for me. It's going to be getting in the gym, busting my butt to make sure that I didn't leave anything behind. Like, at the end of the day, I always think if I feel like I have energy left over, like I didn't give it my all. And so therefore I am that many steps further from the person God called me to be, rather than, oh, I just, want to lose 10 pounds. It's never about the numbers for me. It's the overall person that I feel like I've been designed to be. I know I kind of went on a rant there, but that's what I have to share.
I like it. I like it. Jeremy, Mark, any ideas on what that, like, the first step, right? I'm a little overweight. I work a lot. I'm trying to get all my other stuff together in my life. Maybe my fitness is taking a back burner, and 30 minutes a day sounds like, well, that's too much. I don't want to do it. How do we convince everyone in this world to at least go do a little something today? How do we do that?
I would say that, again, a little bit like Grace has just been sharing, this kind of like a holistic way of looking at things, understanding the difference between health and fitness. But what I would like to say, and what if it's okay to share, what I've had a lot of success with, we're working with clientele as well, from all levels of what has started from all different levels, is what I mean, is sort of reframing the way we look at fitness and weight loss as well, if people are looking to shed a few pounds, right? And remembering that, our bodies don't know whether we're wearing exercise gear or not, right? And trying to look at everywhere around us, every moment of the day, there's opportunities to move the body. When we try to sort of start thinking in this way, so whether it's, I mean, there's that classic example of taking the stairs rather than the elevator or the escalators, right? That's just a really obvious one to point out. But any opportunity where you can move your body, even if it's going to the grocery store and parking at the far end of the car park, so you have to walk that extra amount of steps into the grocery store. Like, once you start to add these into your day, first sort of steps that just start to build a little bit of momentum, and taking one day at a time, starting to build better habits, is probably where I would start. And just like I said, one word that I would encourage anybody to go and research, you can all do it these days with AI and Google and everything, is have a look at the term micro workouts, because it's just kind of like, there's so many breakthroughs happening in this space. And it's just this concept where, if you go down, whatever your sort of level of fitness is, if you're doing knee down push-ups or wall push-ups or full sort of horizontal push-ups, depending on what your level is, if you did one set of that, but you did that throughout the day sporadically with no planning, that might look like over 50 push-ups in one day, and you can build it up over time. It's a really interesting approach to fitness that goes completely against this kind of like fixed day workout pattern that a lot of people think they have to do to be able to get fit.
Jeremy, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. So biggest thing is what's your why? Like why do you want to get in shape, right? It's like, oh, I don't have time for that. Cool. Well, when you have a heart attack, and then they have to go and they have to do a heart replacement, and they have to crack open your chest, and you have to be on 6 different medications, and the surgery itself is $250,000, and what's that going to do for your work, and you have a zipper and scar tissue, and I mean, we can stack all of this like fear mongering in if we need to, but it's, you didn't get out of shape in an instant, you didn't get unhealthy in an instant, so it's not going to be an instant fix. You know, you want to lose, I want to lose 20 pounds fast, cool, let's cut off a leg. Like, you got it, your center of gravity will move into your chest, you have a little bit of balance mobility issues, but you lost the weight. So it's really about what is it you actually want and make it more specific. So I want to get in shape. Well, round as a shape, you're there. I want to get 1% less body fat. I want to lose half a pound this week. Like, the more you can make it a measurable thing and take the emotion out of it, then it's like, oh, cool, you want to lose a half a pound a week? Awesome. Everything you eat, don't take the last 2 bites. Just leave that there. It's about 12.5% of the meal. And if you do that over the space of a week, you can cut a half a pound in calories, but it's such a small amount per meal, you don't really feel like you're depriving yourself of anything. And then right now I'm standing while I'm talking to you guys. So I'll be standing for the next hour. That's something better than doing nothing. And there's some science to say standing for like 5 hours a day is equivalent to the same load as running a marathon. So you're too busy. Well, maybe, but maybe you're just not being more specific on ways to get in those micro workouts, get in those moments of add a little bit of load, get out of your comfort zone for just a moment. And as you do that habitually, the momentum begins to shift, and you're no longer gaining unhealth, you're starting to gain health.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
Of course.
Okay, so I love what you said. Like, getting out of shape doesn't just happen in an instant. And also, you can't fix it in an instant unless you cut off a leg or do something drastic, right? Whenever you do decide to make that mindset shift and go towards your why of, you know, what you want to be and who you want to be as a person, what you want to look like, it's about every single decision that you make, whether it's to not get the venti cup of coffee with extra sugar and cream. Maybe you get a smaller size. It's every single decision. Is it to actually, yeah, I am going to go take my dog on a walk today, or I am going to spend an hour in the gym today. Every single decision either brings you further away from your goal or towards your goal. So don't think just like going out there and walking for 30 minutes a day is going to fix everything if you're going to go home and eat half a pizza. Like, every single decision that you make is either going to take you away or towards your goal. And if your decision is to do nothing, that also is taking you further away from your goal. So just to piggyback off of what Jeremy said.
Definitely. Can I just add as well, like, I think like anything in life, knowledge is really is king. And again, like speaking from my own personal experience, as I mentioned, I went from being, very doing things crazy amounts of investment in terms of my time spent on treadmills, my time spent in the gym, all in the name of, in full transparency, just t-shirts, to then sort of figuring out that if I had known, I know now in terms of what each mouthful of food does hormonally, boy, could I save myself a lot of time and hurt, right? And blood, sweat, and tears, really, and got better results. That's the point. And taking away a lot of that sacrificial approach, that chore-like approach that I had going on. Once you sort of understand metabolism, and it doesn't mean that you have to go back to university and get a master's degree here. Sometimes it could just be spending 5 minutes a day reading about what carb dependency means, what metabolic flexibility means, what it means. Just starting to get a grasp of these terms can really start to help you. It's not even take shortcuts. It's just like get from A to B in a much more efficient and life-friendly and healthy way of doing it.
Yeah,
Great.
and realize
Go ahead,
fitness. Well, I say realize fitness is a holistic thing, because we talk about fitness. There's mental fitness, emotional fitness, spiritual fitness. You have a history in your culture of a certain type of food around certain holidays, but no, I'm eating this new lifestyle and I have to devoid myself of all this thing. You just cut yourself off to your ancestry, how you grew up. So like, you're punishing yourself spiritually to try to get yourself cultivated physically. Like, that's not going to be sustainable. So how can you not have a cheat meal? Because that leads to a cheat once and I can continue, but it's being more strategic and being more intentional, how you're eating, what you're eating, why you're eating. There's zigs and there's zags because life happens. I once had a kung fu brother that was so pure in his diet that he's 6 years never had meat. We went to Chinatown for a kung fu trip, and he had a dish that had been the utensils used to prepare his dish had touched a dish that had meat, and he was sick for 2 days. And he could taste it. I'm like, "That's incredible. You have such a level of sensitivity. I'm a kung fu guy. I got to be resilient. I can't have one meal that's cross-contaminated and now I'm obliterated for 2 days. That's not practical." So, kudos to you for eating so quote unquote pure, but you're so purebred and so niched into this tiny little space, you have no resiliency whatsoever. So, like, have some humanity and some flexibility.
I do think that there is a balance between flexibility and humanity, as well as, just making lifestyle and habitual changes. I also would say, just like what my husband and I do, just as a family, we eat very clean throughout the week. And then on Friday night, we have our cheat meal. There is that level of balance, but you better believe earlier in the day, we gave it our 100% all in the gym, just like we do every day. It's not that we're going to just say, oh, it's Christmas, so I'm going to gorge myself because it's the holiday season. It's, you know what, I'm going to take this day with my family, but I'm going to be right back in the gym tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. I mean, my husband and I, we're not necessarily beginners whenever it comes to the fitness sense, but at the same time, there's balance, but there's also discipline. So it's not good getting away from your path and your what you're working towards, while at the same time still allowing yourself to enjoy life within reason.
I certainly agree with that, Grace. And one word that I'd throw in that I think might be valuable to your listeners is plan deviation, right? That's the way that I like to frame it, both with myself and also people that I work with, right? It sort of moves away from this kind of like cheat word, which can potentially be a slippery slope when we use the word cheat, right? But if we, as you're saying, if most of the time this kind of 20% approach, and like for me, for example, it could be once every 3 months or so. I know I'm catching up with some old pals of mine. I know I don't really drink much these days, but I might have a few cold beers at weekend, right? That's a planned deviation, and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm going to get straight back into my routines afterwards, and it's all good. That's what life's for, right? And it's just having that type of approach.
I agree.
All right, guys, we got a question from the audience here. What's the best type of cardio for weight loss, in your opinion?
I'll answer this one if that's okay, guys. Or go first is what I mean to say. This is a bit of a speciality, right? So I can talk about this all day. What I would say is the term that is also very helpful to research is black hole cardio. And essentially, if I could break that down in layman's terms, it simply means that typical huff and puff, steady state, or high intensity interval training that is too excessive and too long in duration is a dangerous playground, right? Basically, if you're doing that on a regular basis, you're not actually going to be burning fat directly. You're going to be depleting your body, draining your body, suppressing your immune system, and actually evoking a bigger appetite. It's called calorie compensation, right? So if you go out and you hit a treadmill for 50 minutes, sweating, huffing and puffing, your body's going to ask for that energy back, plain and simple, right? And that will come in the form. For me, it used to be eating a giant bowl of pasta in the evening, for example. And the argument and the research that's going on is, would you be better off without doing that type of exertion? And the evidence is suggesting so. What you'd be better off doing is focusing more on low intensity frequent body movement. So light jogging, for example, some people call it zone 2 training, if you're looking for a more technical term in cardio. So it's much, it doesn't actually, one telltale sign that you're in the right kind of zone is that you should be able to hold a conversation while you're doing it. So if you imagine you're jogging with a partner, you should be able to have a bit of a chit chat while you're doing it. It's just some people that have been doing a lot of cardio all of their life, they find that really hard to swallow. They're like, hang on a sec, I don't feel like I'm doing exercise here, man. I'm not getting my runner's high. So it takes a while to sort of like bring that in if you have been training before. And then the flip side of that, and where you're really going to push your organs to get the benefits, is to do, as I said at the beginning, some kind of sprint work, whether that's on a stationary bike or whether that's doing battle ropes, but very, very short explosion. But here's the difference between this and HIIT training. You have luxury intervals where you really recover and you're ready to give the same amount of effort again. And that type of session might only look like 10 minutes long. I hope that helps, and I hope that answers your question.
I'll
Anyone want to add
piggyback
anything
off
to it?
me. But I'll piggyback off of one, I hate cardio with a burning passion, but the best type of cardio is the one that you can commit to. I commit myself at an advanced, I would say intermediate to advanced level of fitness, 30 minutes of cardio a day. That 30 minutes for me is either going to be spent running with my dogs, taking my kid in the stroller around the block. That's 30 minutes that I will not want to cry over. That's my 30 minutes. So whatever you can enjoy and commit to doing, cardio doesn't have to be painful, but also do keep in mind, if you're only looking for cardio, do that. But I've lost majority of my weightlifting. Don't be afraid of the weights. That can honestly transform your body in more ways than you can imagine.
Yeah, and I would say the what's the best type of cardio for weight loss? Cardio doesn't have to be, it's what's the best vehicle for weight loss, which you're going to look at multiple things. Diet, you cannot out train a diet. Doesn't matter how hard you work out. There's a buddy of mine that was doing triathlons. He needed to eat 5,000 calories a day, so he's down on cheeseburgers and all the rest. He's also doing 6 to 7 hour workouts a day, and that was his entire lifestyle, and because that was what his area of life and etc. So it's really about, when you say weight loss, what is it you actually want? I want to lose X number of pounds. Cool. Then you can build a plan, and it's going to be a mixture of modalities. It's not just cardio. It's going to be resistance training, because then your body's building muscle, which shuts down fat metabolism, so that your body's looking for, I don't want to tear down muscle because I'm rebuilding it. So now I got to mobilize fat more often. And go back to the cardio. I mean, I'm running for hours. I got to fuel my body appropriately for that. If that's a sport specific activity, staying in, talk about zone 2, talk about heart rate training. You got to get a little bit more specific handles on your measurement. So it's like, where do you want to stay at? I would suggest check out a guy named Stu Middleton. I think I said that right, Stu. But Stu does ultra marathons and sets some world records. And his big thing is, if you're jogging slow enough that you can carry on a conversation, and you're not having to breathe in the back of your throat, you're not doing the this is more sugar burning. If you're breathing more in the front and you're just more relaxed as you're jogging, and you're kind of moving your body, and you can carry on a conversation, and your heart rate's not super elevated, then you're going to be burning fat more often as the fuel source while you're exercising. So it's really about getting a little more educated. It's not, there's no muscle confusion. There's no, I'm going to do this one specific workout and create a magic adaptation. And anything you do after 12 weeks, you have to change it anyway, because specific adaptation to imposed demands. Your body is built to be efficient at whatever stressors you give it. And if you do something consistently enough, the body will adapt and your impact will negate. You've got to change the plan about every 12 weeks. So things to consider beyond just what's the ultimate activity. There ain't none, because your body will adapt.
I totally agree with all of that, Jeremy. And I think it's also in your question, right? What's the best cardio for fat loss? It's trying to understand that actually exercise shouldn't be considered a tool for fat loss in the first place at all, right? Exercise should be to improve our fitness, our organ reserve, right? Our strength and all the different components that come with fitness, mobility, flexibility, all that good stuff. Enhance our future health span, basically, and longevity, right? And just basically how we can experience life on this planet, right? In terms of a body that moves well. The fat loss part of it, if that's what the focus is in, comes down to, as Jeremy has pointed out, diet and other lifestyle factors, stress management, rest and recovery, and all that other good stuff. It's really where the magic happens.
Yeah, Mark, piggyback off, and Jeremy, piggyback off of both of y'all. I would say, no matter what y'all are doing, if you have, every single one of us has a set number of calories that we burn every single day. If you're eating below that number, you will lose weight. And I'm sure some of y'all will hate it whenever I say this, but it doesn't matter what you're eating, as long as it's below that number of calories that you burn every single day, you will lose weight. Now, are you going to be the most healthy person possible if you're just eating cheese pizzas and Twinkies? As long as you're under 2,000 calories and you're burning 2,000 calories, you're not going to be very healthy, but you will lose weight in some sense. So I always say, like, hey, if you're just starting out and you're really looking forward to losing weight or gaining weight and gaining muscle mass, I'd say, hey, figure out how many calories you're burning per day, and then you can manipulate it by eating 100 calories more, 100 calories less, and see how your body fluctuates and how quickly it adapts to that diet change.
I love it. All right, guys, we are way overboard, so we need to come up with our daily challenge. This needs to be a task or series of tasks that takes less than 5 minutes a day. Oh, we got another audience question. Let's ask this. You guys will be good for this. It's hard to find motivation and energy to actually move me. That's exactly what I was saying earlier on in this round robin. Is there a supplement, food, or exercise that helps boost energy? So we're talking about essentially, you know, how do we get that first motivation to get up and start working? Maybe not a supplement, but a food or exercise. What do you guys recommend? Jeremy, you look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, the first thing I would say is get your hormones checked, because if it's a consistent motivational issue, your thyroid may be off, your testosterone or estrogen may be off. So it's good to get a baseline on your hormonal panel, just so you have a baseline of what's going on. Then the second thing is find people that are your age that are dying of heart attacks and dying of all kinds of horrible things, and look at how horrible they are, and look at that and go, if I don't change, this is going to be me. And then
My God,
get up and stand there. I mean,
That's
context,
dark.
right? Just it is dark, but I mean, if you don't change, you're going to die from something that's preventable. Is that worth it to you? So that's one
Also,
example, not the only.
yes, there's a flip side of that, and seeing people who are your age and how amazing they're looking and how they are physically active, say, I want to be like them. Let's move towards the positive instead of running away from the negative. Because one thing that I have found is like, oh, I don't want to be overweight, a fat mom, all these things I don't want to be. But whenever I was focusing on things I don't want to be, I had much less results than focusing on who I actually want to be.
Okay.
But I get your point that you're saying there. You're not wrong, but it just kind of funny in a dark humor
Pattern
sense
interrupt.
of-
It's just oh damn.
Can I just add to the person that's asking this question? I'd also research metabolic reset or metabolic reboot. It's both the same thing; they're just termed slightly differently. A lot of people, again, I'll try and keep it layman's terms and very, very short. A lot of people don't realise, and it's not through their own fault. It's just it is what it is, that they're metabolically carbohydrate dependent, and I don't mean psychologically carbohydrate dependent. I just mean their body is dependent on glucose, and they're kind of locked in fat storage mode. Right? If you find out how to do a metabolic reset or get guidance on that, that can liberate you from that. And a lot of those kind of symptoms of fatigue, low energy, brain fog, cravings for refined foods, monstrous appetite, along with these kind of offenders of insidious weight gain or fat control kind of naturally diminish, and everything becomes easier. So that's what I'd recommend.
Yeah, you can also get yourself around people that are moving the direction you want to move and join them in what they're doing. So you have the social component of I have a friend who's going to help me to do the thing. That commitment sometimes that promise can get you up and moving too.
Eat
So
lots
yeah,
of protein. Real quick. So sorry, I know we're running out of time. Eat lots of protein, and then also just remember, like, even if you don't feel the motivation to get out there and move, do it anyway. Despite your feelings, despite your emotions, get out there and just move. I promise you'll feel better. Those endorphins will kick in, and you will feel better just because you moved. It's about discipline, not motivation.
Yeah, one thing I would say is definitely accountability is huge. There's a lot of reasons why there's fitness and nutrition coaches. So you may, if you don't have that motivation to go work out, first I would try to get a group of friends, 3 or 4 friends that like talk every day and motivate you to work out. But if not, you can always hire a coach. Half the reason coaches exist is more just accountability. They're the ones that'll text you every day and be like, "Did you do this? Did you do that?" And so those are good ways to help you out too. Uh, Grace, you are still upside down. I love it. All right, guys, we got to move on. We have to do our daily challenge. It needs to be a task or series of tasks that takes less than 5 minutes a day, costs $0, and is available to anyone in the world that helps you improve your physical health by getting fit. What ideas do you guys have?
Okay. First, loads of ideas. So I said it at the beginning of the show. It's just focused on looking for opportunities to move your body anywhere. So I'll give you one. If you're watching Netflix in the evening, try to get off the sofa and maybe spend a little bit of time on the floor. As crazy as that sounds,
Ooh,
there's a lot of evidence to talk about ancestral resting positions and the benefits of it. So have a look into it. But rolling around on the floor, moving the body a little bit while you're watching a movie can actually make a big difference over a week.
I like that idea.
I I don't know if I'm still upside down, but sideways. Okay, I'm not sure here. But what I would say is like one, get a full glass of water, drink it, and the biggest thing that you can do for yourself that's absolutely free to everyone in the world is get your mind right. Write down exactly what you want to look like from your
Ooh,
head to your toe,
ooh.
what you want to look like in the next 5 to 10 years, and imagine it. And if you're imagining that every single day, and the positivity that you are just one, I hate the word manifesting, but like actually putting out there into the world, writing it down, it's much easier to actually take actionable steps towards that person if you know exactly who that looks like.
I would take Grace's thing and I would say do it while standing up and
Don't
do
sit down.
and close your eyes, right? Close your eyes and envision breathing like that future self, standing like that future self. Have the posture, play with where you put your hips, where you put your shoulders. Lift your rib cage, drop your rib cage, raise and lower the shoulders. Like really figure out a posture you can stand in that makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel centered. And you close your eyes, add some Chinese qigong into it, take the tip of your tongue and touch it to the roof of your palate to complete the circuit for blah blah blah. If that, whatever. But standing there breathing, visualizing that best self, you're actually reprogramming your reticular activating cortex, which is the thing that filters out stuff to pay attention to and is programmable with conscious deliberate effort. That's how lucky people get more lucky, is because they tell themselves a story about how lucky they are, and unlucky people don't get as lucky because they tell themselves a story about how unlucky they are. So we're programming ourselves to get in that direction. So take Grace's thing, stand up and practice it, and then get on the ground and roll around. I love it.
Yeah, so I've got for the daily challenge, I like this. Pick a part of your body. So for 7 days, we have this challenge. So every day it'll be a new part. And imagine what you want it to look like in 5 years while you're standing and taking a deep breath and eyes closed. And then while you're watching Netflix, roll around and sit on the floor. I think those are unique ways it'll definitely start. And especially like some of our audience said, the motivation to start getting healthy can come from something small, like while you're watching Netflix, okay, can I just sit on the floor? All right, let's sit on the floor. That's like the easiest first step you can really get. Okay, now can I maybe I do like a sit up while I'm watching. I love that idea, Mark. It's such a baby step just to like, watching Netflix from the couch to the floor is so simple that like that could really spur some people. I think I like that a lot. And then I love closing your eyes and imagining your future self. I like the positive side. I mean, we could do some research on heart attacks too, but I decided to leave that one out, Jeremy. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we got our daily challenge. We did what we're supposed to do. We're gonna wrap this episode up. Grace, you're still upside down, and I love that for you. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We're gonna wrap the show up now. Thank you guys, and thank you, audience, so much. Thank you for watching another episode of Millionaires Are Made. Learned a lot about getting fit, and I know the largest challenge, like our audience has talked about, is the start. We have these experts that come on and they've been working out every day for the past 10 years. So it's easy for them to say, oh, just be consistent. And for some of us out there, it's tough to get up and just do something. And so we've got a great daily challenge. We learned a lot about fitness and diet being the two main factors. So even just getting up and walking 30 minutes, just trying little things throughout the day. Like Jeremy said, just standing when you're on your computer working, doing a standing versus sitting. Um, Try to figure out little ways. And, Grace said little things, be consistent. Your diet is helpful. Little choices when you're at Starbucks, don't get the whipped cream. Maybe ask for 2 pumps instead of their normal 4 or whatever it is when you're getting your coffee. Just tiny little changes like that can start adding up. And just being consistent, like the coffee example. From now on, I just don't drink whipped cream in my coffee. All right, that's consistent. Let's keep that going. Every time I order coffee, I'm going to say no whipped cream. And maybe I have a cheat one once a month, but staying consistent and getting rid of that. And then moving on to the next thing. Every time I watch Netflix, I'm going to watch it on the floor now. First off, it'll be a little less comfortable. So I might watch less Netflix and do other tasks. But second off, like Mark was talking about, there's a lot to it about how it helps your health. So lots of little tiny tips in there, which is huge. And if you have questions or if you need accountability or something like that, there's tons of groups on Facebook. Go follow our guests. They'll share tips and advice all day long. Sugar-free sweetener in your coffee, Jeremy. The only problem with that is that sugar-free stuff is also sometimes not very good for you, depending on what they use. But yeah, so diet, fitness, getting fit, just start little by little. And we got an awesome daily challenge. We're going to write down a body part every day and imagine what it should look like in 5 years. Your perfect hand, your perfect bicep, your perfect quads, whatever that looks like in 5 years. Let's start imagining that today and work our way towards it. And